Hi everyone, it's Karen Williams, the book mentor here, and I'm delighted to be with you for the second part of a series of three Facebook Lives this week talking about your book. Is 2020 the year of your book, and how do you go from deciding to doing? Now, it's all well and good making that decision or dreaming about your book and thinking about making it happen. And I talked a lot about the dreaming side of things on Tuesday. Because first of all, if you're going to go from deciding to doing, you have to get over that dreaming stage. You have to know how you're going to make your book happen, when it's going to happen, and who needs to help you. So today I'm going to talk more about the doing side of things. How do you actually get your book done? How do you get your book out of your head and down onto paper? Because let's face it, it's not as easy as opening up a Word document, starting to write. It doesn't quite work like that, and many people find there's a lot more preparation they have to do first. And then tomorrow, on the third of the three-part series, I'm going to talk more about, what might get in your way, what might stop you, and how you can overcome some of those things. So how do you go from the deciding to write a book to actually doing it? What's the first thing that you need to do? Well, if you've listened to my new book, Becoming an Authority, you'll probably know that I talk about 4 principles that I believe that everyone needs to do before they actually start to put pen to paper or they put their hand to their keyboard. And that's all the preparation stage. So the sorts of things I'm talking about here is starting with the end in mind. Good old Covey, starting with the end in mind, incredibly important. Because unless you know what you want your book to do for you, your business, your readers, how can you actually measure your success? For most business authors, success from their book actually comes from what comes off the back of their book. So actually starting with the end in mind and making sure that the end result, what you've written your book about, actually enables you to do what you want your book to do. So whether it's speaking engagements, whether it's more clients, whether it's launching a program off the back of it, knowing exactly what you want people to do after they've finished reading your book is incredibly important if you want to build your business from it. So starting with the end in mind, get really clear on your vision, how it aligns to your business, and leverage what you want people to do after reading your book is a really good starting point. So the second thing I always suggest people think about is the second S, which is subject. Now, it was interesting, I was having a conversation after Tuesday's Facebook Live with one of the ladies who was on it, and I don't know if you're on here today, but you might be watching the recording, so I'm not going to mention your name. But one of the things that we were talking about was her subject. Now, like many business owners, she's got many things that she could write about, many topics, many ideas. So where do you start when there's loads of things you could write about? And it's also not necessarily just about the topics and the ideas, it's how do you then formulate those in an order that people are going to understand, they're going to digest easily. And again, it's that flow for the book that enables you to do what you want to do with your book once you've actually published it. And I think working with someone like myself as your book mentor is I can help you, because I'm detached from the knowledge that you're sharing, it makes it so much easier for me to sort of see the nuggets, the diamonds in your work that you don't necessarily see yourself. Certainly from my own experience as an author, I find it so hard to get out of my own way when I'm writing, and I find that many authors find the same. It's actually finding the things that you find easy are the things that people need to know about, things that they need to hear about. And actually knowing what's the first thing, what's the second thing, what's the third thing in your book is really, really important before you start writing. Because otherwise you'll find you've got loads of words down on paper, but it's not actually a book, because you might have a snippet here, a snippet there, a snippet here. But starting with the end in mind, having a really good plan and knowing exactly what's in this book is important. And there's a lot of hacks, a lot of shortcuts that you can do as well. You might do interviews with people that could form the basis of the book, and you might draw on some of those interviews. You might draw on some of other people's expertise by having experts come in and write things for you. But you don't know that unless you do the preparation first. So the first part is the first principle, starting with the end in mind. The second principle is the subject. And actually, whilst I'm on subject, if you're thinking, what do I write in this book? Have I got more than one book? What am I going to include? What am I going to leave out? Another thing you can do is think about your ideal readers and talk to them. What do they want to hear from you? What do they want to know from you? Do a survey, have a conversation with people, find out a little bit more about what they're looking for as well. So that leads me to the third principle, secret sauce. What makes you and your book different from everything else that's been written? Now, if you're anything like most people, you probably know the key players in your industry. You probably know your key competitors. You probably know the people that maybe yeah, people who are kind of in the same sort of sphere as you, and you probably know the other books that have been written on your topic. So how do you make yours different? And I think really targeting your book, having a really niche market and a really clear call to action, and knowing that point of difference, that hook, the thing that makes people pick up the book, look at the back cover and go, wow, I need to read it. The thing that allows people to go to Amazon, look inside, they read the first few pages and they go, buy now. You want to hook people in from the very beginning. You want to share your wisdom, your expertise, your journey, your story, you to actually really go out and inspire people. So that, for me, another incredibly important part to it. And then it comes down to, I wouldn't say my favourite bit, but the bit that I love doing with clients, and that is the structure. What needs to go in your book? How is it going to flow? What's the first thing? What's the second thing? What's the third thing? Ultimately getting to the last part of your book. And believe me, when you've got a really clear structure, you know exactly what you're writing, who it's for, what it's going to give you, and also your readers. It's going to be much easier to write. So that's pretty much the 4 S's that I believe are important right now, the first 4 principles of the becoming an authority process. Because once you've got all of those, it makes your book so much easier to write. And one of the things I do through my group program, through the authority mentoring program that starts this month, and also working one-to-one with clients, is we focus on those 4 elements right from the very start, so that when people go to write their book, they know exactly what they're doing. And as I said, it makes it so much easier to write it. Because the 5th thing is the scribing, it's scheduling, it's making time to write. But once you've got the plan in place, the book itself will be so much easier to actually write, because you know what's actually happening. You know that you've got an hour, you know that you can write on this minute subject, which might just be 200 words, it might be 500 words, but because you've got the plan, it makes it easier to get the ideas out of your head. So how long does it take to write a book is a question I have been asked and answered many, many times. So we're the 2nd of January now, and if you want your book out sometime in 2020, I would say you do need to start straight away. I was actually reviewing a testimonial from Teresa Bulford Cooper this morning that she did for me just before Christmas, and we started working together around about this time last year. I think it's the 2nd week in January last year, and she went from idea to final manuscript within 9 months. Published manuscript, within 9 months. So we had the idea, we worked together on a day together in January. She worked for 4 months working one-to-one with me and on our group mentoring program. So she had a combination of the one-to-one support and also the group support as well. And then she worked with our team to get her book published. So pretty much, I think she was at final manuscript stage around about May, June time. And then she published it. I went to her book launch beginning of November. So there is a process, and I've just written a blog on it. So if you go to libertas.com/blog, you'll see the blog that I've written on this topic, taking you through the preparation stage. So if you were to do the preparation in January and you were to start the writing, say the beginning of February, mid-February, and you could do a solid 10,000 words per month of really good quality writing, you could be in the peer review stage by sort of June, July time. And then you'd be able to publish your book this year. So I think it's important for you to make the decision when you're going from dreaming to deciding to doing, is when is the right time for you? When does it fit into your business? If it's not now, when is it? And how do you actually make that commitment to make your book happen? And actually, I'd hate for you to be joining me on a Facebook Live next year, this time next year, going, I really wish I'd started, and I would love to help you to get off the starting blocks. So why would you work with a book mentor to help you? Well, I think what many people underestimate is all of the fiddly bits that are involved with the process. I remember when you probably heard me talk about Sarah Alaria North. She published her book last year, end of last year. And actually one of the things she said to me is she loved the fact that she only needed to know the next couple of steps. All of the fiddly bits, like, you know, how do you get copyright permissions? How do you get peer review? How do you get an amazing person to write the foreword? How do you do the marketing side of things? Is when she was right at the very beginning, she didn't have to worry about any of that. We worked on building her community as she wrote it. We worked on some of the sticking points that she had, like many people. And I think I find with all clients, they go through the sticking points of, for some it might be, you know, who am I to write a book, and all the confidence issues. Some people get stuck because life gets in the way. They get a new client, they get new business, and then they're wondering how to fit the book in as well. But actually, I want to make it as easy as possible for you. Half a day a week, quality time of writing is all you need to write a book within 6 months, in my view, when you've got a really good plan. And working with someone like myself will help you to get started and get finished. I know with Teresa, she had no idea where to start, but we got her started, we got her finished in 9 months, and she's having an amazing success with her book already. And I can't wait to interview her later this year to find out exactly what's happened since she launched it at the beginning of November. So if you'd like to write your book in 2020 and you'd like my help to get you from off the starting blocks right through to the finish line, I'd love to help you. We've got the Authority Mentoring Programme that starts this month, and I'm really excited to be working with a group of authors to help them to get to that final manuscript stage by June and ready to get their book out there. That's it from me today. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, in our Facebook group, and I'll be talking about commitment, courage and confidence. You've made the decision to write your book, you're doing it, so how do you actually get it done and get out of your own way to make it happen? I'll see you tomorrow.